Ideal mesmo para o mundo atual seria fazer o ensino médio junto com o curso técnico, certo? É no Senac que o aluno tem autonomia de verdade, formação cidadã, foco na diversidade, preparação para o Enem, material didático sem taxas e muito mais. Na real, tem tudo que você precisa para se sentir preparado para a vida. Seja para entrar no mundo do trabalho ou te ajudar a decidir o que fazer na faculdade. Quer saber? Senac. Vem comigo! Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino-médio-técnico.
Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about why ambulance response times are improving and what to possibly expect from our nearly brand new county board. We're also looking at some other positive headlines we missed during election week. And joining me on this midweek roundup is our very own producer, Giulia Fiaoni. It's Wednesday, November 13th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Welcome, everyone, to our midweek microdose of news. Giulia, thanks for joining me this morning.
Good morning.
If you're new to the show, today is the day we look at a local story and or updates to stories that we might have missed these past few weeks. Most local news outlets have been laser focused on the local and national elections, and we ourselves are just coming up for air.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about everything?
Oh, so tired still.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
That's another part of it, too.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to keep talking.
Yes.
And a story I think we missed talking about that I think should have had more coverage is our ambulance response times significantly improving.
Yeah.
Yeah. For years now, both our area's ambulance provider, that's American Medical Response, or AMR, and city and county leaders have pleaded with Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson to change the county's staffing requirement for ambulances from a 2-paramedic model to that of 1 paramedic and 1 EMT. And due to staffing shortages, AMR just, doesn't have enough paramedics to go with that very strict requirement. They don't have to go out with every call, which greatly affected response times on top of just having way more emergency calls these past few years because of the fentanyl and housing crisis.
Yeah.
So people were reporting wait times of upwards to an hour. And last year, a man died while waiting for over a half hour for an ambulance after being struck by a hit and run. So this has been a long-standing issue, and longtime listeners are probably remembering all this now, oh yeah, I remember all this stuff.
Yeah.
And to understand the hesitancy, County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson, or AKA JVP, as we call her around in these parts here, and EMS County Medical Director Dr. Jonathan Dewey resisted any reduction in staffing requirements, saying that the 2-paramedic model produces the best results for patient care and significantly contributes to high-ranking heart attack survival rates in this county. But it's it doesn't make sense. I think a lot of people were upset because the thinking behind that all or nothing wasn't serving the most people,
Mm-hmm. The risk is far too great in that case.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And up until recently, JBP's big move to increase ambulance response times was to fine AMR for not having enough staff instead of attempting to actually solve the issue at hand. But it appears AMR is reporting progress with their response times. And Giulia, you looked more into this, what's changed?
Yeah, so they decided to, hey, you know what? Let's stop with the fines. Let's approach this in a different way. And they did that with a 3-month agreement, which just ended in November. The county basically told AMR, hey, fix your staffing requirements, implement this different 1 paramedic, 1 EMT ratio, and see if you can pull this off. And then for the next 12 months after this 3 months, which just ended, we're going to keep an eye on you to see if you can meet our standards. And thankfully, within those 3 months, they were showing some really notable improvements. One of the main numbers that they point to specifically is the, quote, level 0 events, which is when no ambulances are available. Those have decreased significantly from 20 to 30 hours per week to just 25 minutes per week.
Wow.
Which is
imagine that.
Bonkers. It's crazy.
To adopt a model that most cities have. How about that?
Yes. So for it to be working already is very hopeful. Another thing, too, on the hiring front, AMR onboarded 65 EMTs. 13 more are joining this month, and they hired 14 paramedics. And there are still dozens more in training. So that's also looking very hopeful, very promising. But the thing is, though, I don't think the county is kind of just like brushing their hands off saying we did the job. Specifically, County Chair JVP did ask AMR to continue reporting to the county board quarterly so the commission can keep track of what's going on. Like you said, the quality of care is very important because they're still doubtful that the different staffing model will actually work. And what's cool about that, if you're a really interested citizen, AMR is also going to continue posting monthly data reports on the Multnomah County Emergency Medical Services website for public viewing. So they're trying to aim for that transparency element. But the one thing that is still kind of slipping through the cracks, this is something that the head of the AMR Paramedics Union noted, was that they still need a lot of improvements related to training, compensation, and communication across the board. So it's not necessarily this staffing fixes all. There are still a lot of improvements internally that need to be addressed. And one thing that I think is cool that the county is doing and their approach is that they are being pretty forgiving. They are noting that they are willing to waive a part of AMR's $7.7 million worth of fines if they continue to meet and exceed expectation standards. So there's a little bit of back and forth there, and you can tell that there's still tension, but it seems like it's moving in a direction that's largely hopeful. So I'm excited to hear about this, like especially with all of this doom and gloom election news. It's feeling really good right now.
All those fines should be wiped. I'm sorry. But imagine you're AMR and you've been asking for this. You've been trying to talk some sense into the county board saying, hey, it's impossible to meet these requirements because we don't have enough staff. Also, it's not really needed. Yeah. And to have this push and pull and then getting fined and then they finally go with your plan and then they're just like, you know working. What? It's working. We might wipe the fines. Jesus.
They do still have a threat of fines too if they aren't able to upkeep standards with the new staffing requirements. So that threat of fines I don't think will ever go away.
Yeah. I just don't understand how you solve problems that way.
Yeah. You know? I agree.
You know what I'm talking about, Julie. You've worked in more than one office before. That's not how you approach any problem.
I will say what's cool is that I, just by chance, last week met somebody who was recently onboarded with AMR in Multnomah County. And they were saying that they were aware of a lot of the tensions, but that things have been largely positive. Like the morale amongst workers with AMR has just been better because it hasn't been so scrambly from what he's hearing from his coworkers. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also read that they're not only loosening up the requirements, so there's like one paramedic, one EMT. I heard that 2 EMTs will also staff about 10 ambulances a day for minor medical calls, which is great. I just feel like this is where we should be looking at a problem reasonably. And not every call is going to need 2 paramedics.
Yeah, it's that perception of safety too, right? You need a variety of care to address those needs, or else people start to feel like they don't have that support, which I think can cause issues longer term, just on a city level. Right. So I think that's a really great move.
Yeah, I think now the focus is to pay EMTs better because they make almost nothing and they're doing so much work.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Giulia, for giving us an update on that. Let's take a quick break here, and when we return, the new class of county commissioners and some good news.
Ok, legal, tá bom, normal.
Parar toda hora para abastecer? Não é legal. Mude para um Haval H6, o híbrido que conquistou o Brasil e tem a maior autonomia do segmento, com até 170 km no modo elétrico. Haval H6, a linha SUV eletrificada mais completa do país. GWM, Hello Tomorrow. Paz no trânsito começa por você. Consulte autonomia no site gwmmotors.com.br.
A Liberty Seguros agora é Yellon. Tudo aquilo que já era bom continua igual. Excelência e proximidade permanecem como nossa essência. Porque não é uma mudança, é uma evolução. A Yellon está sempre em sintonia com você. É liberdade com segurança. A melhor experiência acessível a todos os clientes. Iluminando cada passo da sua jornada. Deixe essa luz iluminar seu caminho. Yellon Seguradora. Seguro para viver livre. Consulte seu corretor.
Well, Giulia, I know exiting Multnomah County Board Commissioner Sharon Meeran and City Commissioner Renee Gonzalez were two of the harshest critics of the county's chair, JVP's policies regarding, well, a lot of things, but specifically how she was dealing with ambulance staffing shortages and, response times. So now I'm wondering how this new county board will be holding her accountable, because we'll have 3 new members joining, and most of JVP's harshest critics who were running for county board were defeated.
Yeah.
You might remember Megan Moyer, who comes from the nonprofit world, beat out the more moderate Vadim Ozierski from Multnomah's Western District 1. Shannon Singleton beat out Sam Adams for the Northern District 2. And Sam's whole platform was how he was going to clean house at the county. Yeah. And it was pretty obvious he was after JVP's county chair. We knew where he was going with that. I'm personally most excited about the 3rd new county commissioner. That's Vince Jones-Dixon for Outer Eastern District 4. He was Gresham's first Black city councilor and is now the first Black man to be elected to the county board. 2024, by the way. Yeah. I wish we could be like, oh, awesome. But I'm like, we should all be embarrassed right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you remember, Giulia, he's the funeral home director, and he has a long history of community outreach around gun violence. Jones-Dixon lost 2 brothers to shootings in the metro area. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the board and with his platform. Our only continuing county commissioner is Julia Brim Edwards for Central District 3. In the JVP spectrum of agreement, which is how I'm seeing this, she was somewhere in between the previous commissioners, kind of going with whatever JVP put forth and speaking out if something didn't sit right, usually along with leaving county commissioner Sharon Meeran. Those two were sometimes the only ones poking holes in the board's proposed policies whenever the numbers didn't add up. But Brim Edwards had less fiery speeches, which was, that's the thing I'm going to miss the most about Meeran.
Yeah.
I'm also just relieved there will be a senior county commissioner to help with the transition of these new incoming commissioners. An article in the Oregonian that was put out on Monday quoted JVP commenting on the brand new city government and the practically all new county board by saying, "This broad turnover in representation gives us an opportunity to move in important new directions as a county and as a community. People need to believe partnership is possible regardless of our differences." So it appears she's also hopeful.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think of all this?
I actually highlighted that quote too, Claudia. I thought it was really good. It just felt good to read. And it made me think a lot about how, like you mentioned earlier, Adams and Mozierski didn't come out on top, even though they were the most critical of JVP, which, as we know from recent polling, is very much in line with a lot of Portlanders right now. They're very critical of JVP. So you would think
lowest
polling in recent history.
Polling approval in recent history of any local politician.
Yeah, and the thing is that you would guess, especially in such a tense election season, that voters would go with the two that were the most critical of what they're most frustrated by. But what I find really hopeful is that it seems like Portlanders are ready to put people in office who are more looking towards what we can be doing better towards the future, rather than getting stuck criticizing what's going on right now, which I know it's a 2-part thing, but it's really interesting to see how voters turn out in that way. And then one other thing I really wanted to point out, because you had touched on this a couple of times about Sharon Meeran being pretty fiery. It's a quote from Megan Moyer, one of the commissioners that will be coming in next year. And they said, "I certainly am going to be vocal about policies if I have serious concerns, but I'm not going to be quite as spicy as Sharon."
Spicy.
But I have often agreed with her critiques, which I love that. Spicy is just the perfect word.
Very spicy.
Yeah.
I mean, as a podcaster who covers local politics, I will say I will miss that. I will miss us reenacting her speeches. As just a citizen of the county, I won't miss that drama, Yeah. It just felt like the county was dysfunctional, and then it somehow carried over to the city and their relationship, and it's too much. Yeah. I think Portland is finally ready for no drama. We're just dude, just get it done.
Yeah.
Just get it done. Nobody cares.
Cut it out and get it done.
Seriously. I wanted to actually try something new, Julia. Usually we dip into our mailbag, but I have to admit that we've been so busy with election coverage that we've been reading. And just know when you write to us, we read every email that comes up. It's just been hard to keep up with responses. And so a lot of the stuff that we got is very election focused. And I'm like, let's move on. Let's move on.
For now.
For now, of course. So I want to do this segment called Not Bad.
Oh, we have a name for it.
Yeah, it's called Not Bad, Not Bad. Here's how it's going to work. We're each going to get 30 seconds, and we're going to share a headline. Good news, one would think,
Okay.
It's not bad.
So just okay news.
I wouldn't say it's okay. I'm just saying, I'm not going to be like, this is the greatest thing, because something's going to happen. The other shoe's going to drop. I'm just saying, not bad.
I see it.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to time each other. And then we have to do the final 10, 9, 8, 7, not very loudly.
Let's do 5.
Okay,
I feel like that 10's going to stress me out. Okay.
You want to go first? Show me how it's done?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to hit start now.
So this one's from Ben Botkin at the Oregon Capitol Chronicle. Oregon will be getting up to $40 million to fight and prevent drug addiction statewide as a part of a national opioid settlement with Kroger. If this is first you're hearing about this, it's basically a $1.37 billion national settlement with Kroger pharmacies because of their alleged role in the opioid crisis. Mm-hmm. Oregon is one of 30 other states involved in the agreement, and the money will be used to fund things like harm reduction, including access to naloxone and recovery centers.
1. Nice. Not bad.
Right?
Not
bad. It was
bad.
jam-packed with information. All right, let's see if you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go for it.
The Bird Alliance of Oregon has given an update on that little cute Arctic fox that was found wandering Portland earlier this fall. She's supposedly in good health and is doing well at her rehab facility. They added she's super smart, very food motivated, and loves to climb. Because she's about 1,000 miles away from her natural habitat, they're assuming she was an illegal pet. Their IG post update said the Oregon Department is working to find a permanent home because there's no way she's going to survive in the wild. And I'm fingers crossed.
5,
I've named her Egret after the wild and Jon Snow fell in love with the Game of Thrones.
1.
Egret. I've named her.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah. I'm hoping Oregon Zoo takes her.
Right? Wouldn't that be so sweet?
It would be amazing.
I think I first saw of that fox on Reddit, and I was wondering about her, so I'm glad she's doing well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I got another one for you.
And go.
So this one's from Bryce Dole at OPB. I'm talking about Democrat Janelle Bynum winning the race for Oregon's 5th congressional district. And this is major for a few reasons. I'll lay it out. Number 1, she flipped the district, beating Republican incumbent Lori Chavez-DeRemer. Number 2, this is a high-profile and very close race, seeing as Republicans already have the Senate majority, and as of Tuesday morning, are only 4 seats away from having congressional control. And last thing, Bynum will be Oregon's first Black member of Congress, which is a big deal.
Nice. Perfect. That was perfect. I'm sorry. I was so into what you were saying that I didn't even do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
But the moment I looked down, I was like, oh, you're done. You were done.
Okay, last one. You got it?
Yes.
Let me count you in. 3, 2, 1.
Badass abolitionist Harriet Tubman, who established the Underground Railroad Network. Mm-hmm. You might have heard of her. She was awarded the rank of general this Veterans Day. And she's the first woman to oversee an American military action during a time of war. She wasn't just freeing slaves. She was helping the Union with intel and helping lead attacks. Also, She would knock out crying babies so they wouldn't get caught, and it's never been confirmed how.
5,
Someone should look into it.
3.
That's all.
2. All right. All right. That's pretty
I don't
cool.
know. Whiskey?
Oh, that's a good guess.
People were just like, was she punching babies? I don't think Harriet Tubman was punching babies. I just want to say that out loud.
Just a quick elbow to the temple.
I don't think she was punching babies.
Okay.
But she's amazing.
That's so cool to hear. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, they had a whole ceremony and everything. I guess there's like a state park named after her in Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a 1-star brigadier general now.
That's awesome.
In the state's National Guard.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Julia, thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning and going through some stories. What we have coming up this week is we have Brooke Jackson-Glidden, who is now the
editor of Portland Monthly.
Yeah, the editor-in-chief of Portland Monthly. She used to be the editor at Eater. She used to be on the show all the time. She's been a little busy. She's coming back, and we're going to talk best new restaurants. On the Friday Roundup, we have Malia Spencer from the Portland Business Journal. she'll be joining us. So if you want some more headlines of the week, we got you covered on Friday.
Nice.
Yeah, Giulia, are you going to be on? I don't even know.
No, John's taking it away this week.
Oh, John's back. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Giulia. I'll see you in 2 minutes.
Thanks. Bye.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend, rate or leave us a review. It really does help us out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.